Welcome back. From aging bridges to wrong-way drivers to Connecticut Rail, we have a lot to discuss with the new Connecticut Department of Transportation Commissioner. We're happy to have Commissioner Garrett Eucalitto joining us this morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
In our last segment, we were talking about the flooding up in Vermont, but I know there was also flooding here. So just real quickly, crews are still working to repair some roads in Connecticut as well, right?
Yeah, we got most of the roads reopened. There's one in Norfolk, which has some major problems with a bridge washout, the culvert underneath. So that's going to be a little bit longer-term project, but these increased rainfalls are really doing a number on our undersized culverts that, we didn't build them to be able to accommodate that much water flow.
And we saw, the water flow we saw was just incredible. Let's talk about what's happening. This is construction season.
It is.
Our viewers, no doubt, have seen those orange flashing lights, maybe sat in traffic for a minute or two, Commissioner. What are some of the big priorities for the department this summer?
Yeah, we're getting calls a lot from people thinking that there's construction on every road in the state, and it certainly feels that way. Right now on I-95 in East Lyme, there is a major project at Exit 74 to rebuild that interchange there to make it less of a bottleneck, and that's going to be a few years worth of work. It's going to continue on. It's going to be some delays down there, but it's going to be great once it's finished and it'll relieve that bottleneck. Haddam, there's a swing bridge there that it's well over 100 years old, needs to be fixed and rebuilt there. So we're working on that, and that's leading to some closures and traffic impacts. Down in southwestern Connecticut, actually, on I-95 in Norwalk and Westport, major project there to improve drainage, rebuild a median project there. And then the Gold Star Bridge in New London and Groton is undergoing a major rehab.
Well, and we did a big story, a big piece on the Gold Star Bridge with federal funds. And I know a lot of these projects are federal funds coming into the state. You're new on the job, but I saw in a couple different profiles of you, you referred to yourself as a policy nerd.
Yeah.
So with all this federal money coming in and big priorities, is that just the guy you want driving the bus, pun intended, to make sure everything goes the way it should?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. We have resources available to do work and get the work out the door, and working with a great team here at ConnDOT to help make the right decisions on projects that are going to last 50, 75 years. The things we're working on today need to be there up to 100 years from now. So it's about making the best decision, the most sustainable fiscal decision for the citizens of Connecticut. And that's what I'm trying to do every single day, working with the governor.
And is some of it temporary pain for long term? You mentioned the East Lyme thing. I know I live down that way. I know there's going to be shutdowns for blasting and things like that coming up. Temporary pain, but hopefully a long-term solution. Is that the message?
Exactly. Progress requires patience in our world. It is a lot of work. It leads to more congestion in the short term, but longer term, it will make it for smoother travel time, no matter what mode of transportation you're going to take. Hopefully it'll be smoother after we get through those projects.
I feel like commissioner of the Department of Transportation is probably like being in charge of DRS or something else where you don't tell people in the grocery store what you do because they would have a long list for you. But anecdotally, a lot of people have said to me, I drove from Florida all the way to Connecticut and didn't hit traffic till Fairfield County. I drove from this place to that place and I got to Connecticut and boy, the highway just jammed up. Do you get those complaints? And is it just because we live here and it's easy to complain about our state, or is it something that needs to be fixed?
Yeah, I think it's inherently Connecticut for us to complain about ourselves and our state. I grew up here. It's what my whole family does. Every time I see them, they complain about something on the roads. But yeah, we are we're one of the most densely populated states in terms of number of people crammed into one place. So yeah, they hit New York, they hit the GWB, they hit us. It's congestion and traffic, and you can't build your way out of traffic congestion. No matter what we do, we'll never be able to build enough lanes to eliminate traffic. So how do we get people to think a little bit differently about when they travel, where they travel, and make smarter roads so it eases the travel and the traffic through those corridors?
Another you could have put on that list is how they travel, and I know rail was a big priority of your predecessor. He grew up in rail, Commissioner Giletti, and now we're seeing you taking the helm as the governor cut some routes out of Shoreline East and made some changes. So what has to happen, juggling perspective? Because obviously every person you put on a train is maybe one less car on I-95.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it's true. While we did make some small reductions on service levels on the rail side for this fiscal year, the capital investment is exploding on the rail side. We're looking at $10 billion over the next decade or so on capital projects on the rail side to make for faster trains, to get them through the corridor faster, improve those bridges that are over 100 years old. And so, yeah, we are going to have to see some reductions on service on Shoreline East. We are only looking around 30% of ridership now compared to pre-COVID. Ridership just hasn't come back. A lot of them are teleworking. On the New Haven line side, we're looking at some smart reductions. People are teleworking a lot on Fridays, so we do have to make some service reductions, but we're going to target those trains that are least crowded. And so we didn't want to do across the board, okay, we're just going to cut X number of trains per day. We looked at every single train on the New Haven line, and we're going to say, okay, this train, that train. And so that's what we're going to go to public hearing on in September to get feedback from the public on.
You're also talking a lot about the customer experience with DOT, and I know that was a big focus as you came in as commissioner. What do you want to know from people, and how can the agency help? Yeah,
the big question is, what can we do as a state, as the DOT, to make use of public transportation easier for you as a member of the public? So we did over 10,000 touch points with people in various different settings, online, in person, at bus stops, at train stations, at Yard Goats games, things like that. And they told us they want to make sure the bus arrives reliably on time and gets them where they need to go, make it easier to pay for the bus and get on the bus, and make it less confusing to go between two different bus systems, the bus and the rail. So that's what, right now when public transportation is kind of all up in the air with telework and everything, we want to make it focus on the customer experience. If we make it easy for you to use the system and get to where you need to go, that's a win for me.
I only have time for one more topic, but it's a big one, and we've seen it unfortunately a lot in the news, and that's wrong-way drivers. And of course, we've heard from police about this and other things, but as the people who build the roads and put up the signs, what can DOT do, and what is DOT doing to try to stop that problem?
Yeah, so the road designs haven't changed or become more dangerous in the past several years. What has happened is a lot more drunk driving. So one, we need to focus on drunk driving. But two, we are, thanks to the governor, thanks to the legislature, we have a lot of money, $40 million total, to invest in building in detection systems that will flash when people are going the wrong way up the ramp, and also send a notification back to our operations center and to the state police. We have around 200-something locations that we're looking at to install those, and we're going to measure whether it's successful or not.
Is it a system where you can look and pick out possible trouble spots? Are there some entrances and exits where you're like, this might be one?
Yeah, we ranked every single on-ramp and off-ramp in the entire state and looked at, using a whole metric system, which one we think are the most dangerous. Designed a little poorly, near a bar, poorly lit, things like that, and those are the ones that we're prioritizing.
Well, so you're looking at it now. That gives me a great reason to have you back on the show to talk about the results once you find out.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Garrett Eucalitto, thanks for being with us on CT23.
Thank you.